I think everyone is here to hear a little bit about decentralized AI, which is sort of a topic of, a lot of memes recently. Illia being the center of one of the most powerful memes. But everyone on this stage has a sort of different lens, a different take, a different sort of view on decentralized AI overall. And it'd be great if you could each introduce in a real tweet-size bite what your project does and what kind of your background.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sean, co-founder and CEO of Sahara AI. Really, my ultimate goal is to democratize scouting law for AI, which covers a lot of things, data, model, and compute. But Sahara AI is basically building a AI utility blockchain platform for everyone to really have the true ownership, provenance, and attribution of AI access, including data and model, and really with high performance, user privacy, and security.
I'm Illia, co-founder of Near. My background is in AI. I was doing AI research for about 10 years, and I'm one of the co-authors of the Attention is All You Need, which introduced transformers. And with Near, our vision always been to give control of assets, data, and power of choice to everyone in the world. And AI is a major part of that. It is how we're going to be interacting with computing going forward. And providing user-owned AI and a platform for that is what we do at Near.
Nice. Hey, everyone. My name is Ahmad. I'm the CEO and founder of IONET. IONET is a AI compute network that has compute power 20 times more than OpenAI. So far, we're growing really fast. And we are building like an AI compute network that could facilitate the next generation, of AI models on chain. We believe in democratizing access to AI, and we believe that the world does not have fair access to AI compute power, and it's limited with few. And we managed to group in all the GPUs from across the globe into a single network that acts like a single processing chip, so powerful that could solve real humanity problems and challenges. So yeah, looking forward to be here. I'm happy.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this is probably the only panel you'll see today where TPS doesn't mean transactions per second. So hopefully people can disambiguate in their answers. So, the first question that I think a lot of people have when they think about decentralized AI is, well, how do they act? How does decentralization actually mix with AI? In a lot of ways, AI is sort of the ultimate centralizing force. It's very clear that centralized AI is very effective because you can aggregate data, you can kind of have these economies of scale in model training. On the other hand, open source AI in the last probably 3 to 6 months has had sort of this insane growth rate. And anecdotally, a lot of my friends who work at either OpenAI or DeepMind or places like that, a lot of them effectively have said, I don't think there's a real growth market for the closed source world because it's too expensive to compete. And the open source models are actually getting good enough to catch up. So, a natural question for all three of you is, what is the role of decentralization within the open source AI world? And do you think that decentralization is sort of a necessary condition for open source AI to be successful or not? So maybe we'll start with you, Illia, and then we'll rotate around.
Yeah, obviously it's a loaded question, so I'll try to unpack it. First of all, from values perspective, right? I personally am extremely scared of a few companies that are controlling what will become, the most sophisticated tools in the world that have, power of intelligence of, designing new drugs, defining new strategies, and being able to pretty much shape our society. And the problem is, companies have a fundamental kind of structure where they need to continue growing their revenue. And if you're a company like Google, for example, which already achieved its target audience, the only way you can grow revenue is by extracting more value from your users. You need to grow average revenue per user. And this is not because the company is evil or any individual person is evil, but when you're making decisions day to day as engineers and product managers, you're running A/B tests and you're maximizing what model will extract more revenue and generate more revenue for the company. And so we are in this fork in the road at the core where we have for-profit companies that will be trying to maximize pretty much extractive value from its users, or we need an alternative, which is actually these models, these AI tools are working for you individually, and they're trying to maximize your kind of happiness, your well-being, your economic state. And so that's kind of at the core for me where this difference lie. Now, it's true that as a centralized company, you have such a massive flywheel. You have data leads to better models mean you can generate more revenue means you can build more compute. And so actually, Web2 open source AI startups don't have much of a legs, and we see this now in the market. We have startup after startup now that actually folds and being acquired by big companies because they're not able to generate enough revenue to justify their valuation at which they need to raise to build these models. And so we need an alternative. We need an alternative that actually is truly has economic incentives and it's aligned with its users. And crypto is that incentive structure. It's that tool that enables that. The open marketplaces is a way to aggregate resources and assets. The way to collaborate and contribute data together is a way to reward creators, which right now, alternative is a lot of lawsuits with OpenAI. And so we have tools to build a better model. It uses cryptographic incentives. It uses distributed systems. And it, in result, achieves this vision of self-sovereignty. So for me, decentralization is just a tool to achieve the self-sovereignty. And so that's kind of how I see all these pieces working together.
Sean?
Yeah, great question. I think I've been working on AI for over 15 years. So I think the really interesting transition or moment for the AI community, starting apparently from ChatGPT, but for me, it's really like GPT-3. I've been working on that for over a year. And I think the inflection point we're having here is the AI is no longer a toy, right? It's not just like a test bed for research community to work on, but really start impacting different parts of human life and start impacting people's job opportunity and monetization opportunity. And really the pressing problem for us, like also Illia mentioned that, is how we actually embrace every single participant in the AI economy and give them the right sort of share of the whole AI economic growth, right? For example, a great example here is like think about OpenAI been using all these open resources like Wikipedia, GitHub, and Reddit to really do pre-training, and some of them used for post-training of the model and create ChatGPT. But all the money's been making by ChatGPT hasn't got really backtrace to all of the contributors of these resources, and how can we actually solve that problem? That's like a burning problem for Sahara AI right now. And really going back to the question about where we see the organic synergy between decentralization and AI, I think there's a big part of that is about proprietary data. I personally think that open source is not the best way to really grow the AI economy, even though if I put on my researcher sort of a hat, I would really embrace open source AI because it just really helps accelerate the model developments and just make the information more transparent. But think about if you are a business that have very proprietary information about financial domain, about medical domain, you wouldn't really want to just like open source everything, but you want to think about how could you become part of the development flow to turn that data into valuable model and access, and that access be further used by other people to build wrappers of applications and monetize them, but you still become a shareholder of the entire chase, and you can earn that by just contributing to part of that process, but you don't have to do the whole end-to-end procedure, right? So I think that's like really a sort of a decentralized way to think about how to leverage data sets to build model and play a sort of a healthy ecosystem of AI economy. That's a really big problem for the whole society.
Well, I think decentralization is a decision. Like we we have the chance to shape what is decentralized gonna look like in the next 10 years or 5 years. It's a decision that, like Uber said, like we don't want more taxis. Like we want, sharing economy. We want people to come in, bring in their cars, and be part of the taxi industry in a way. So same thing here is like we have to take the decision as of. Think of it this way: when we started IONET, we were thinking, like, there's so much money being made in the AI compute industry. All the GPU owners and so on, they're making so much money, like AWS, making massive amount of revenue because of GPU bookings and clusters and training machine learning models and so on. So their GPU earnings is massive. And then a data center or facility owner of like 5,000 GPUs is like, how can I earn like AWS? Like, I can't. It's too big. It's too huge. I need a sales team. I need marketing. I need so much for me. Small data center competing with AWS with few 100,000 GPUs. So there's no chance for me to compete alone. So everyone would wish to be part of AWS. Like imagine a crowdsourced AWS. So then what if multiple data centers, all of us gather together and make this alliance? It's like, let's all of us make a new AWS together. Because we don't want one person to control it. You own a share, that own a share, each one of us own a share of this massive money that's flowing in from the AI compute industry. It's massive. It's $1 trillion industry. And when we say decentralized AI, I think it's multiple layers that we can reshape everything. Like we can shape what is the AI compute layer gonna look like, the main one. And then above that, and that AI compute layer, basically the GPUs and all the compute jobs that have to be executed, we could, like, how can we facilitate payments, like using Near, using Aptos, using Solana, using like, building all this infrastructure piece by piece together. We're just literally at the beginning, inception of the AI in the crypto industry. So whoever starts now will really have a big advantage because he has the chance to actually shape how the industry is gonna look like. Now, you go above that, you have Sahara AI and others, like they have the models, they give royalty fees to owners of the models, model stores and so on. That is another layer on top of compute. That layer on top of it, you have app builders who are gonna build AI products, inferencing, whatever type of product. So it's multiple layers that all of us have the chance to shape how it looks like in a way where like, let's share data gathering, let's share building models together. If someone built a model, dropped it in the model store, I want when someone to pick my model and play with it or put it in his own app and he becomes successful. I'm as an owner of a model, I also want to earn something. So model owner royalty fee, data gathering, there's so much we can think of products that actually can really make an advantage. I mean, and the benefit of that is like, who in the world can by himself go and buy 500, 700,000 GPUs? No one, except Meta and the big guys. Like only Facebook has 700,000 GPUs on the whole planet. There's no one has more GPUs than these guys. So, but because of the power of decentralization, because all of us come together, IONET right now has 980,000 GPUs. Who can even think of this? If I'm alone, I can't do it. If each one of us is alone, no. But when we open the economy, come in, let's bring data. We will bring data for models to train more than what OpenAI has and more than anyone has because you have the power of hundreds of thousands of people in the community to work with you. And that's really the advantage. Okay? I think decentralization is a decision and all of us working together is like we're all of us in one team here. Like it's not we're not competing here. The industry is outside crypto. It's Web 2. That's where actually the competition has to be. We're competing with the big players. So yeah, there's so much happening in this world. I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Cool. So I think from these three views, one of the clear things that all of you have sort of mentioned is there needs to be some form of a marketplace for different components within the stack, whether it's a marketplace for the inputs in the data, whether it's a marketplace for some form of provenance, or whether it's a marketplace for agents to use money in, right? But even though AI has been a very hot theme in crypto and realistically the overall economy, there's really nothing that has found really great product market fit in terms of things at the intersection of the two. Other than what you're working on, what are the things that you're most excited about that people are working on in the kind of intersection between crypto and AI? You know, sir.
Yeah. Just want to quickly follow up on Tarun's question about marketplace, right? I think marketplace is nothing new. I mean, it's been in Web2 for decades. But really, I think the fundamental problems all of us trying to tackle here is how to have a layer underneath the marketplace wrapper that really have the sort of ownership, provenance, and attribution functionalities. And this is where really blockchain and all these privacy security technologies will be able to power, right? If we put the marketplace on top of a centralized cloud, let's say AWS has great marketplace. They have Amazon Mechanical Turk for data. They have all of the other API marketplace. But you know that once you start placing things on top of the marketplace, it's pretty much you have to comply to all of the policy and regulations by Amazon, which is a centralized provider, and you wouldn't be able to have the true ownership of all of the future monetization of things, right? So going back to the problem here, what I'm seeing really exciting in the intersection of AI and crypto space is not just merely to think about how crypto provide a really high liquidity or sort of a way to expose AI capability or utility to broader community by designing economics layers or things, but really think about how to protect the user on their valuable access, right? Apparently, there's an interesting premise I'm taking here is like not every single one has the equal valuable sort of information or knowledge or data at their current position, but they would have time. They can use the time in exchange to contributing to some public data resources, like a sort of rather an open source version of Wikipedia, maybe some sort of a proprietary version of domain knowledge bases, which can then further be used to create proprietary domain-specific models by a community, rather by a single organizations or company, and then they'd be able to monetize through those models and data sets down the road, and really providing infrastructures with blockchains and security privacy preserving technique. I think this is really the right way and the big direction to go for the whole community.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just to mention on product market fit, I think the data labeling platform built on blockchain, and for example, Near has Near Crowd, is probably at product market fit because it has way lower cost. It's like benchmarks at like 1/10, if not 1/20th of the cost of centralized platform. And it's able to pretty much get workers across the globe really easily and pretty much scale its workforce as well as scale the expertise required as data requirements shift as models mature. Now, I'm really interested in looking forward into two aspects. One is how do we go beyond current creator economy where we reward for eyeballs, where in the future these models will be really serving as your medium, where they consume the news, they consume the new TikTok videos, and they provide you a personalized feed of everything that's happening in the world and whatever your favorite entertainment is. And so the reality is the current platform, current advertisement, current copyright are pretty much not applicable into generative AI world. And I think there's a really interesting kind of opportunity here to not just kind of traditional, let's do NFTs for creator economy, but actually reimagine how creators going to be rewarded in a generative AI world. And there's like few startups working on it, but I think that's like an amazing opportunity that blockchain really sits in the right place to serve. And then looking forward, I expect more and more of the on-chain governance as well as some of the other off-chain decisions to be made by AI, where the population, the token holders, shareholders, or the kind of population of the unit of governance are really serve as a veto and input, but allow model to pretty much summarize and make decisions based on the different criteria. And so you can kind of expect a lot of interesting both research to come out, but like in blockchain right now, it's a really good place to test this out because you can set up a DAO with $1 million and let it loose on like, set of criterias that even potentially you cannot do as a human. Like for example, as a human, you cannot maximize the token price of the DAO. But as a AI model that governs this DAO, you are actually able to do that, right? So we have a decentralized, for example, inference reporting on how to make action for a DAO. And so you can have really interesting experiments right now to facilitate that. Again, there's like few companies exploring this, but I think this will be future of governance because people suck at governance. And we've seen with DAOs that like coordinating a number of stakeholders is extremely complex, and it requires pretty much a superhuman ability of summarizing information, providing context. And so I think that's a really interesting use case that I'm really excited about.
I think basically if you look at it, well, there's a big problem I see in the market, which is we build an AI product for the AI, not we, I mean like as a crypto, not IONET, as a crypto person. The crypto community builds AI, mostly builds AI products for AI community in Web3. And they limit themselves with this very small market size that is just yet started. And the use cases are extremely complex for like next generation use cases that is still too early for it. And what happens is they would build for this niche AI Web3 community, and they will forget the 99.95% of the community that's actually Web2 and far away from Web3. So what I believe the right move is to move into, it's two fronts battle. You make a product that doesn't feel like it's Web3. You target Web2, like the people in the Web2. You let them use your product. You let them flow the money in your product. While that is happening, you're building something more complex, next generation, while adoption is slowly growing in the AI community in the Web3. So building an AI product in the Web3, you should definitely not target anyone in the Web3. You should definitely build a product that actually, not for another chain or for another something AI in the crypto for some use case that's extremely limited and has no yet enough users, but rather build an app that is served for millions of users outside. And then slowly, if that market in the Web3 grows, you start targeting that Web3. But mainly, you should be targeting Web2, and the user experience should be extremely simple, like any AI app. You don't want to add more complexity. AI have already reshaped a lot, and it's moving so fast that you just can't keep up with the new technology involved. You can't keep up learning new papers every day coming up. You just lose control. There's too much happening already there. So when you add even one more layer of complexity to the engineers or to the end user, you're just like making it harder and harder while we want to make it easier for people. So we can bring in the adoption, not harder.
Well, that kind of answers another question I was going to bring up, which I'm kind of curious about everyone else's views on, which is, there's always this talk about crypto native consumption of decentralized AI. So, like the examples you gave with governance, or the examples of people doing on-chain inference to provide kind of some calculations to contracts. On the other hand, there's, hey, maybe it's actually that the payments associated to the usage of the model is more important, and then you have this kind of less crypto-native Web3 type of usage. How do you think the market will evolve? Do you think the first successful application will be something that's crypto-native and really focused on existing crypto users, or do you think it will be something that escapes the box?
Yeah, I can start first. I think I can first give a good example of what happens within Sahara AI, or particularly speaking Sahara data, which we launched like last October. So we have initially only been outreaching to Web2 AI native data labelers. which we have a network about 200,000 laborers, majority in APAC and Africa area. And these people, initially when we do the survey, they only have a crypto wallet adoption rate lower than 15%. And gradually, we start educating them about the good things or advantage of using crypto wallet instead of going for PayPal or bank wires, these kind of options. Apparently, you have lower transaction fee, and then you have instant, almost instant type of a speed for the transaction. And this is really smooth pickup process for those 200,000 laborers to embrace crypto wallet. And I think this is a great example about what things are relatively easy or like low-hanging fruits to really educate Web2 or AI native people to use, right? And I think crypto payment gateway is a really strong sort of example for me to talk to the AI people and convince them to leverage it. And then going back to the broader question about where I see these like crypto native apps to come out first versus like crypto for AI, I personally believe we will first see a bunch of really strong utility crypto for AI applications really soon. And I think part of the reason is that if you're looking at the current capital market for AI projects, it's pretty tough, basically. And I think the shape is start pretty much settling down where you see every single sector, let's say video generations, text language models, image generation, they start having the top #1 player, which is far surpassing the rest of the players. And they have the user, the traction, the accumulated data, the flying wheel effect for the apps, they have the capital. The rest, 80% of the AI projects, they've been struggling to find capital to further growth or find a way out. Most of them start just switching to very customized, very specialized use cases to really like survive in a sort of enterprise-facing way. And I really think the whole crypto market provides them a strong utility and liquidity sort of a space for them to come to play. Really, I think the gap right now is this communication channel between the AI native community and crypto native community that are pretty much not there yet for many reasons historically. And I think if we can really think about how to close the gap between these two communities, there's a lot of great things going to happen in terms of using blockchain to provide security, provenance, attribution, monetization for AI models, and provide them a sort of more ways to exit, right, for their great projects of different valuable AI models and data sets. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that. I think just to mention, I think right now everybody, because of how exciting and hot this area is of AI and Web3, there's probably every single idea being funded for somebody to build, right? So I think like either way we'll figure out what works in next like 6 to 12 months.
Capitalism has a way, I guess.
Pretty much like evolution, capitalism making its decision right now. So we'll pretty quickly see what are things working. But I definitely agree that like everything from payments to provenance to kind of coordination of resources, of infrastructure, like all of those things are like pretty clear and provide value not just for kind of Web3 but actual like Web2 consumers. I think the other side is like Web2 AI startups indeed are gonna start struggling because they raised at massive valuations and they need to justify those, and they don't have as much users. And so this is where some of the advancement in crypto technology like points are providing a pretty actually interesting way for people to pretty much bootstrap their growth of their Web2 solutions. Like I've talked with some of the kind of AI gaming, like not Web3, AI, like proper AI gaming folks, and they're struggling with growth, right? They're struggling with figuring out how to put this in front of massive audiences. And so for us, actually, we have massive audience on Near. We have distribution channels with like tens of millions of users now, and we can actually offer that as a platform for some of these Web2 companies now to offer this and then turn it into an asset and make it more entertaining and exciting for people to contribute. So I think like there is an interesting also direction where Web3 also, because of the audiences we did build, which have money, which have knowledge and understand the values, which are interested in ownership, which are interested in kind of like in a way, those are early adopters as well, right? Even though it's like now in tens of millions, it's still early adopters who are excited about new technology. So we have an interesting opportunity as well to now offer that as a platform for this incoming new startups which look for these audiences.
All right, since we got 2 minutes, unless you want to add.
I think honestly, the first problem when I started IONET was like, there have been some people who tried to build compute networks before, but it never picked up. It was very momentary, and then it didn't really pick up in the normal industry outside crypto. So I think IO is, in my opinion, the first AI compute network that actually kind of unlocked that and accessed the Web2 and the AI industry. Right now we have more than 400,000 users. At least 100,000 of them are AI engineers who are totally have no clue about crypto. And we have more than $4 billion of GPU infrastructure in the network. And that's like really flowing in the AI industry, like fueling the AI industry outside. The user experience is native. You don't even feel you are in crypto. Massive amount of startups running hundreds of GPUs on our, what we call it, the internet of GPUs. So I think, in my opinion, I somehow, like me and the team have, I feel we have really done the first, the first AI coin that goes to the real AI industry and matches and connects both worlds together, from Web3 to AI industry, and I'm really proud of it. And then, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
So for last 30 seconds, I had dinner last week with one of my friends who's, worked at Fair, DeepMind, and OpenAI, has probably 100,000 citations, very kind of prominent AI researcher. And I told him I was going to host a decentralized AI panel. And he was like, how is that not a scam? How is like any of this actually useful? So what is your one-line retort to someone like that who's like a prominent AI researcher?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is a collaborative effort, right? It's a collaborative intelligence in terms of data, in terms of compute, in terms of how to put together the thoughts about a model configuration and so on. So we should just properly give people the share of the AI, give people the ownership of AI, make the right attribution and monetization works. And I think this is just a good thing for both communities. Yeah.
Yeah, I would second that. It's user-owned AI requires a different structure, different incentives. Open source Web2 AI companies don't work. They're gonna fail, and like if the only alternative is Google and Microsoft, that's also not a good reality we should live in. So like if they want an alternative, they want a way to fund open source, they want to publish papers and not sit on their research for years, they should join open kind of a user-owned AI initiative. So send the resume.
Well, I would just say watch and see, wait and see. That's I guess it's always us and them, and we don't have to convince him. He's like, we're doing it. Our job in the ecosystem is to defend the ecosystem from anyone who's just trying to ride the hype but not really doing any AI product, making sure the AI Web3 image is very clean and pure. Pushing and funding and helping all these real projects that are building together, so we can like show the best of what we have, because we still just started. Like really, the AI crypto industry is this is the first time we see AI in the crypto industry. So it will take us a few cycles, but then eventually AI, I believe, would be at least 30% of the market cap. So it's worth it.
That's a big claim.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're out of time. So thanks everyone for being on the panel. And
Thank you.
Thank you.